All right.
Cool.
We're jumping
This
back
is
in.
game one.
Yeah, tell us about the game.
It's still on turn three, so not much is happening. We have simply just aggro drops being played by Tajik. No removal has been seen yet. We had the turn two Slimefoot played by Mortred into a turn pass holding up Ent and Fatal Push. Notably, Yawgmoth should take care of the entire aggro board without much effort.
Yeah, can we talk
Is
about
mainly
that
what
for a
I'm saying
moment?
here.
Tell us a little bit about Yawgmoth.
I Yawgmoth basically pay one life, sacrifice a creature, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and draw a card. Card advantage always good, but also, as you can see on the board, three of the four creatures are 1/1s, and they will all die. Make that 4 out of 5. Also, Tajik is a 1/1 with indestructible. The -1/-1 counter will get around that indestructible. So
Can
uh,
we
it
also
just
talk
it
about the
instantly kills
fact
Tajik every
that
time.
little line of text on Yawgmoth that says protection from humans? And
Oh,
Tajik is
I
certainly a human.
forgot about that line because none of these things on the board currently are humans, but I believe almost everything Tajik conjures, and obviously Tajik itself, is also a human. I think only the last two cards in the spellbook of Tajik aren't humans,
I
so
I
yeah.
think Esper Sentinel is a
Yawgmoth
human.
just
Is it not a
wins the
human?
game.
But
Oh,
Yawgmoth
it is a
does
human,
win
you're
this
right.
matchup.
You're very right. Yeah, Yawgmoth just still is this matchup. Like,
This
Marsha
is
just
the
doesn't have to
card.
do anything besides play Yawgmoth,
And
unless there's a Swords to Plowshares here.
and we see nothing
But
like that in the hand of the Tajik player right now,
it's
with just
normal.
Intrepid
Yeah.
Adversary.
Yeah, so basically just Yawgmoth, I assume, just gets slammed here, and then the game ends, pretty much.
Yeah, if you're Shampito Stick, all you do is you wait a turn maybe to draw removal.
Well, now that Murtred finds Thoughtseize, they might Thoughtseize this last card to just clear the way for Yawgmoth, because I don't know that Shampito doesn't have removal here.
Yeah, that's true. There are no hurry and no pressure. They're 22 life versus
Yeah,
Tajik's 23. They're really not under any pressure here.
and then like in Court of Calling, something that like makes tokens even, just have more stuff to Yawgmoth. Like, I think that's what I would do here. I would just like Shotgun Stomping Grand Thoughtseize and hold up Court of Calling.
And you can
And
Court of
just get.
Calling for
I don't know
free, yeah.
what's. Yeah, I don't know what's in the Slimefoot deck, but just something that makes like two bodies.
You could do the one that makes the goat.
Oh yeah, Will Strider.
Yes. Low Strider, you get your two bodies there.
Or yeah, or Yawgmoth can just be Yawgmoth tier because, and if Tajik does hit the field next turn, then which it likely will, uh, it will take two activations of Yawgmoth to remove.
And here, Mortard swinging
Not
in
much
just to
difference.
get the extra token.
Yeah, that's why I'm rating this might be a Yawgmoth now play, just because of the amount of
Yeah, and
I can see
even
that too.
in response to something like Swords to Plowshares, he can still remove Shampito Stick's
His entire
board.
board.
Yeah, and draw 4 cards for it. So
Yeah, you just remove the entire board now, and it's 8 cards to 0, assuming swords would happen here, but it's not going to. Yeah, but like I don't really see any reason for Mortred to not sacrifice. At least like Goose and Slimefoot, I guess you do need to leave a sap rolling. I always forget that part of Slimefoot's text.
right.
It's like unless Shampito has a removal spell off the top,
But
which
what I
they
guess
don't.
too is Mortrid isn't going to sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee unless he has something in the yard. But in this case, he happens to have the generous Ent, which he
Yeah,
land
the
cycled.
land cyclers are amazing because like not only just in Slimefoot they can be brought back, but even in normal decks they can get you um like the Martyrs at Krelov Manor Surveil lands, which have been a lot better than I thought they would be, and even like without that, just perfect mana,
Yeah, who knew? Tap lands were good. Better than Scry
and
lands.
then control the
Also villain.
gates. Yeah, I
Because
mean,
they have the basic land types, right? That's the
yeah. That's really the entire thing is half card advantage on a typed land is crazy. I'm a little surprised Yawgmoth did not kill Intrepid Adversary in response to the counter trigger here. Because, like, you pay the 2 mana and it gets the counter, and then, like, you should just
Right,
So
in
it's a
response
slight
to the
misplay.
trigger, the mana has been played
Yeah,
already, and it's only one
yeah,
creature to get rid of it, as opposed to two.
yeah,
But when you're
yeah.
this rich, you can afford misplays.
True.
He
No
gets
lands
this.
found is kind of bad, but like
Oh
it's
my goodness! But he has Craterhoof in his
yeah,
hand, which he can
sure.
discard to Fable, and then reanimate with his commander from the graveyard. This is
Yeah.
looking hard for the
Excellent.
Legion Valor, and
Yeah,
and this
I don't
is
think Tajik can get there against the Yawgmoth
this is the
unless they
difficulty
instantly kill.
of neither does Shampido Stick, as he brings up briefly the concede screen. This is the difficulty of aggro decks versus the really solid mid range of Slimefoot and Squee.
Yeah,
What do you do?
and Squeeze is very good at walling it.
Yeah, you wall, you get your 1/1s, you can bring back your land cyclers or your other value creatures. You've got to have a really fast start, and even here we saw Shampido Stick had a nice board, but Yawgmoth comes out and that's it. And if you don't have Yawgmoth in hand, you still have many ways to tutor.
Yeah, the board was nice, but at the same time, it just wasn't like it's all of like the kind of the worst cards in the aggro deck. Like you got 100 cards, some of them are worse than others. It was a lot of them were not like Adanta Vanguard was always the 100th card for me.
Right, and it depends on the matchup. In this mid-range matchup, where you need the
It doesn't do
power,
anything.
Adonto Vanguard, Legion's Landing, Esper Sentinel, they're not doing it. Great in
Yeah.
control, but not here. And
Yeah.
that's it. Shampido Stick packs it in, and Mortrid takes the first game
1-0.
of the semifinals here. Winner goes on to face Matama Tiger, playing Crucius, I believe. First time they've gotten to the finals with that deck. What do you think of Crucius, having played it yourself, I believe, a few times?
I played the not janky. It actually wasn't bad, but I played the Dollhouse combo version of Crucius back in the day. That is a fun deck. But
have you played against Mathema Tiger?
I have played. I played Crucius pre-ring ban actually, and I beat it with Brawl somehow. I think it is a very strong deck. Against Slimefoot though, I don't know. Because it is an aggressive deck.
He
and
already beat
the 4-drops.
Slime. He already beat Mortrid 2-0 on top of it.
It's 2-1, not 2-0.
2-1, sorry.
That's not great, yeah. I don't remember exactly why this game did it, or if I saw all of them or not. Yeah, I don't remember. He did beat 2-1, which is an interesting point. It will be a rematch.
And I think here we have the two opening hands from the players. We have Mortrid with...
We have already the turn 2 Slimefoot, which is just... Well, it goes super well, as we've seen.
But Shampido Stick is holding up the swords to plowshares, which Mortrid doesn't know about. So will he run out Slimefoot into that removal? But you know what? It's okay if he does, because he has Shield to go after it.
Yeah, no, this is... Like, again, this hand, like, I don't like this hand from Shampido Stick at all, because, like, yeah, you have Swords to Plowshares, but where's your mana curve? Like, you have Corrupt Captain, and then, like, you have to draw your lands, and if you have to draw your lands, and you also, like, Combat Celebrant dies to a 1/1, Bundacorn requires a board, and Aniline requires you to head in, and yeah, this is over. Now there's no land drop here.
This
I don't like the hand at all.
Effect. This is Shampido Stick suffering, saying, okay, their commander goes to the graveyard and reanimates. I have to keep a hand with exile in it, and they do, and unfortunately, it means their mana screwed. But that's what that commander does. It traps you in these patterns of thoughts because you get so scared of the reanimation.
Kind of similar to Ragavan in that way. It's like you need a counterspell. Like mana type here would be huge, but not had in the hand, and now it's just tough. It's kind of similar to Ragavan in that way too, like the mulligan for exile versus mulligan for 1 mana removal.
What do you
but
think
I do think that Slimefoot is the stronger deck. I think I would do it. Like, I mean, the drops in your hand, you need to clear up their board, and you have no way to do it besides attacking, and you just need to get in there basically. But I don't know. Yeah, like Shieldred, what did they do?
Yeah, Mortrid drops the 4/5 body with the extra text that wins you the game.
Yeah, it's like
at this point,
like add a line, and then what are you doing?
What are you doing? Adeline just sitting
Yeah,
around looking pretty.
plays
Combat
combat sovereign,
Celebrant.
but that's not getting in.
And what's
I
the
can
idea
see
here
like
when you play
I
Combat Celebrant?
the
What's
idea
the
here is that whatever you play as your 3-drop doesn't matter. Like, Morshar's not attacking, so might as well honestly just play the one that gets you more damage.
but Mortrid,
That's what I see.
and this is what's so great about this mid-range deck is that it can run a lot of threats mixed in with removal because its threats are recurable through its commander, and
Yeah.
there's a piece of removal, the Molten Collapse, that hits the Combat Celebrant, and now there is a trigger for 3 damage off of the Molten Impact.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the best decks in the format, honestly. Like, I think it's kind of underrated, even though it's already been played a lot. I think it's underrated just because of what you can run in it. Kind of play Raccoon that way.
It's never won a tournament, and while I agree with you, I think a lot of people judge what decks to play based on what wins tournaments. Because it's one thing to
Yeah.
win in the leagues, but can your deck really bring it at the top level when it has to fight against what everybody thinks are the best decks? And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Whether or not this deck can do that. So Shampito Stick plays out Tajik, attacks it.
Yeah, it's like
Interestingly enough, holds back the Tajik. Why do you think he does that? He's going to.
I mean, he's gonna block Shieldred with it. He's like Shampito's worried about the damage, but at the same time, you can't be worried about the damage if you're playing aggro. Like, he
So
can run
that's
out at Unicorn next turn,
here's
and
a
then
question for you as Mortrid plays Fiend Artisan, another tutor. Is Tajik, the 4-mana Tajik, is it a mid-range deck or an aggro deck?
I think. Well, that's the thing. It's like I played it a while back, and I can't tell it sometimes. It's like it's like it sometimes feels like just the cards that we have in the format right now for aggro can't get over decks like Slimefoot and Squeak fast enough. It's like I think it is very good at being an aggro deck with cards like War Leader's Call, but at the same time it feels like you need the right hands for it to play aggro. The other half though is playing mid range with it. What are you playing in Boros for mid range?
And your commander, because your commander by itself is a mid-range value engine creating a creature for free
Yeah,
each turn.
but it's like I have a Boros control deck. It's not league worthy. No, like I'm not playing in a league.
And
but
this is brutal as Shampito Stick plays out War Leader's Call, buffing all of his creatures and potentially giving him a trigger off of Tajik, a damage trigger. But in response to Tajik spawning a creature, Mortrid removes War Leader's Call with Canker Bloom. So his creatures don't get the buff, he doesn't get the damage trigger, and again, he's staring down a board with Shieldred 4/5 and a Fiend Artisan now up to 3/3. He can block both of these. The question is, does he want to? He looks at the Swift Blade Vindicator.
I would, but maybe not.
But he's
Because,
32 life.
you
He doesn't need
have
to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't look at that, but yeah, 32 is a lot.
Shieldred just
It's
doing
like
its
in
work,
response
baby.
to removal, you have Belligerence. Yeah. Like,
And Shampito Stick, I
attempted
think
removal.
this is a play he has to do. He has to remove the Fiend Artisan because he saw what happened with Yawgmoth, and the Fiend Artisan could tutor up Yawgmoth off of anything. But here, and this is brutal, in response to the Abrade, Mortrid Village Rites on the Fiend Artisan and gets the trigger, the delay trigger for 3 damage.
And also those. Oh, and now Rockfall, yeah. Now you can unearth Fiend Artisan and play Slimefoot, and then next turn, if you find a land, play Atali.
Oh, this is it. And Tajik, what's he gonna do? He's going to spawn a. I think next turn is a 2/2 haste flyer.
It's a 2/2 flyer. Yeah, not enough.
Not enough. I mean, and at this point, Mortrid can just attack in as he's thinking about doing because he has nothing to fear. He's up at 32 life. The Tajik player has not been able to effectively pressure in. Even with an Adeline in hand, has been casting other spells because the board is just too clogged off of this single creature, and this is the power of mid-range. You put down a 4/5 Death Toucher, and what does your opponent do?
That is it's like I think aggro is probably Sunfoot's best matchup, just because like control can counter it, board wipe it. even like other mid range, you have some kind of battle in there. But aggro, it's like aggro can't really do
You see,
much.
I'm gonna push back there. I'm not sure this is an aggro
Okay,
deck. I'm not sure that the 4-mana Tajik is an aggro deck. I think it's a deck that
that's
leans
fair.
a little heavily with a 4-mana commander into a sort of mid-range strategy where you accrue value
Yeah,
over time.
that's the thing. It's such a good card by itself, but at the same time, we don't have the right shell for it. Like maybe there is a Tajik mid range deck that exists in this format, but if it does, no one's found it yet.
Right. Obviously, it's good against control, as we've seen, but
Yeah.
here against this mid-range deck, against a true mid-range deck, we're just seeing that
Yeah.
it's getting pummeled as Mordred casts Italian is going to
My question
Inquisition.
is like, with like we've already seen like Adeline in the hand and stuff. It's like would an Adeline or like an Anim Pakal, like the aggro decks, like would they even win into this? Is my question. I don't think they would.
So the advantage that they have, though, is they're going to come out a turn earlier and they're going to come out swinging, whereas the Tajik here, we saw it hitting on turn 4 when the opponent has
Yeah.
had their turn to cast their turn 3 commander. They're not forced to make blocks, or they can make good blocks, because in this case, the 4-mana commander doesn't attack but for 2 damage, and then generates the 1/1.
This is also just lethal on board here, with Skrelv making Atalia unblockable by white creatures.
Oh, yeah. This is it. And Shapido Stick preferring to play it out, play out the creatures, gonna go out with some dignity.
Yeah, that's a 2-0.
But a very clean 2-0 as well, with Mordred under absolutely no pressure from Tajik. And there were a lot of league members who were wondering if Tajik needed a ban.
Myself included, but no, there's not enough of a shell for it.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
see here, it just the way it's being built now, this aggro way, is good against control and good against aggro, but very weak against strong mid-range decks. But as you said earlier, Slimefoot and Squee, perhaps one of the best decks in the format, just being slept on a little bit.
Yep, I definitely agree.
So Mordred going to
And
go.
honestly, playing as SNS is part of the reason I stopped playing Raw for a bit, because like Raw is a very strong deck. At the same time, it's not like very strong. Like it is a top deck, but it's not good enough to play against that, especially with the tutors. Tutors are
See,
very strong. Who could have guessed?
that's hilarious that you say that, because I've run against Mordred probably over 50 matches, the majority of them Slimefoot and Squee, and to my chagrin, I am about 48-50% win rate against his Slimefoot and Squee. No, excuse me,
Yeah.
I'm about 25% win rate. I mean to say,
Yeah.
against
What
his
have you been
Slimefoot
playing?
and Squee. But my highest win rate deck is which has a positive win rate, probably 75 or 85%, is 5-mana control Ral. Ral, is it Viceroy?
Yeah, I can see that with control is Slimefoot's worst matchup.
And especially is it control because you
And
have the
that's part of the
tools to
reason
deal
I
with the
brought
board.
Atraxa. Yeah, well, that's why I think is it control. Like I think if we get a good is it control commander, it can be meta. Because the only thing is it control lacks is board wipes.
I
Because
think that 5-mana
the
Ral, I'm
advantage it
gonna push
has,
this, is meta. I think it could be meta if somebody
I
played
think
it.
I agree. I also love my role playing software. You knew this. I do think it could be meta. But it's like the thing is like the advantages Azorius has is that Azorius has, and it has multicolor cards that are a little tiny bit more geared to control, but really it has the board wipes. But what is it brings that Azorius doesn't have is that early game removal. You
Right,
have
which is so valuable.
so much 1 mana, like you have Molten Impact, you have Strangle, you have Bolts, you have all these types of things that are more efficient at dealing with the early game. And really, like, all you really need is, like, Azorius control decks aren't even running that many Wraths nowadays. You can still run, like, Hour of Devastation, Storm's Wrath, and probably still get there.
Right,
Which is
and
why I think
Storm's
it
Wrath
could be
giving
fine.
you that perfect Wrath that deals with Adeline, that deals with Slimefoot and Squee at 4 mana.
Yeah.
In addition to the 3-mana Wraths, if you want to run them, gives you
Yeah.
enough tools.
Pure is probably strong. I'm really looking forward to Bloomborough with the new Raw Walker. Like, please be good. If it's not good, I will cry. But like, please be good.
Has it been revealed yet? No, those spoilers are
No,
coming out for a little while.
we know it exists, but we don't know what it does.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's good. I mean, they're like 2 for 2 on the most recent ones, at least. I think even the 5 mana one is good. The 4 mana one just isn't a control. If the 4 mana was played as a pure control deck, it would probably beat Slimefoot, but I don't play it that way. And Slimefoot is very good at just dealing with the things that the combo decks do.
And this is the advantage of the 5 mana Walker is that it is built-in removal. The only thing it doesn't do on its
Yeah.
uptick is untap 2 lands, like another 5 mana Walker we all know and love.
Yeah, but it is better at the card selection.
So who?
Way
What
better.
was the
It digs
matchup?
too.
Yeah, digging 2, and also the card in the graveyard if it's an instant or sorcery, enabling Ral's -3 dealing damage equal to the number of cards, instant and
Yeah.
sorcery cards you owe in the graveyard and in exile. So you can
Yeah.
dig through time, you can treasure cruise, and those cards are still
Yeah.
going to be active for Ral.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that part of the weakness of Izzet is getting rid of those big creatures like Shieldred and other things, and 5 mana Raw is like, hey, I got you covered.
Yeah, Emrakul, you can't be removed by
That's true. It
instants.
does
No
actually get rid of
problem. I will
Emrakul.
down
If you
tick and I will
if
remove
you
you.
somehow lived the Emrakul turn, yes,
That's
it will do that for you.
said turn has happened in the past. You Tailzan the trigger, you down tick Ral, and the opponent is left wondering how their 13/13 did nothing. So, uh, let's talk
Yeah.
about the tournament though. Could you tell us who is playing next? What round we're in? What's the
Yep,
matchup look
we
like?
have where it's the final round. We have Mathematigers, Crucius, Titan of the Waves versus Mortrid, Slimefoot, and Squee. Slimefoot and Squee being probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, mid-range decks in the format. Basically playing onto the board aggressively early and then being able to loop a variety of high-value creatures with the Slimefoot and Squee ability. Versus Crucius, which is a lower to the ground Rakdos aggro deck, where it's basically that Crucius will find, like, you play a very low curve, and then Crucius will find your late game bombs. I think right now Mathema's playing Shieldred, obviously, with Beseech the Mirror, because that gets anything out of your deck. Rampaging Raptor as a haste drop. That's the red questing beast. And I think they're still on Chandra Torture Defiance. That could be wrong though.
And
But like basically able to get those specific drops out of your
since
deck.
you mentioned best deck for Slimefoot and Squee, I think it is fair at this point to say that in Mathematiger's hands, Crucius is one of, if not the best aggro decks currently in the league.
Agreed.
He's been running it for the past few seasons with exceptional results. Really,
He's
really
gotten
great
first the
results.
past 2 seasons.
First, the past 2 seasons, that says it all. He
Yep.
really runs this deck aggro, and a lot of people look at Crucius and they think combo, uh, or they think mid range, or they think value. But aggro, as you were saying, the ability to bin lands, but also to bin expensive cards looking for removal, to bin a 2-drop at the end of your upkeep and look for a removal or a hand hate spell at 1 mana, really gives this deck an edge, and it's able to output damage just quick enough that by the time the mid-range and the control decks have the tools to deal with it, it's too late. They're already dead. They're taking the last 4 or 5 points of damage, and in this particular matchup, Crucius versus Slimefoot and Squee, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Crucius Mathematiger took a 2-1 victory against Mortrid, showing that if you play a fast enough aggro, and again, if you play an Alchemy Commander, then you have what it takes to deal with Slimefoot and Squee. But Slimefoot and Squee also running Crucius in their deck, along with a number of other alchemy cards that give them really amazing abilities to tutor. They're running, in addition to the typical cards like Eldritch Evolution and Chord of Calling, they're running Spawning Pod.
Yep.
And Spawning Pod.
I love Spawning Pod.
Can you tell us about that card a little bit?
Yep. Basically, you pay 1 mana, tap, and sacrifice one of your creatures to seek, which is basically just to get a random card. Seek a creature of mana value 1 greater than the creature you sacrifice and put it onto the battlefield. It also becomes a Phyrexian in addition to its other types, not relevant. Yeah, basically spawning pod, it's just a very good way you sacrifice something you may not want anymore and you get your next thing. Some decks like to abuse it because they only run one creature of a certain mana value. I don't think Slimefoot does that. I'm not sure if they have like a chain with it or something, but either way, you're usually going to sacrifice some kind of your 2-drop that has already used its enter the battlefield or something like that, and then get a value 3-drop that will then use its abilities. And it's especially good in Slimefoot because in Slimefoot you're already running creatures that generate so much value that you just once something's generated its value, you just like kill it, get something new, and then get that thing you just sacrificed back with Slimefoot.
And what you're talking about with the value means you don't even need to combo. You just run such impactful creatures at each mana value that whatever value it is, you have something to deal with the situation. So if you sack your commander, for example, and you look at your 4 drops that Slimefoot is running, you can get Shieldred, you can get
Yep.
Yawgmoth right there. If you can
Yeah,
get
already
Hellrider.
2 great cards.
If you have 3 or 4 tokens and you swing in with Hellrider, Slimefoot, and Squee in your 3 tokens, that's a huge amount of damage that's coming out in a single turn.
Yep.
If you sack a 4-drop, you can also get
Cavalier
Falconwrath
from my
Aristocrat, which is a sleeper card here. Falconwrath Aristocrat is a 4/1 flying creature with haste for 4, and you can sacrifice a creature to give it indestructible until end of turn. So it gives you a sack outlet for your commander.
I think it also gets a 1/1 counter when
If it was a human, if you sacked a human.
Okay,
Sadly,
never
Slimefoot
mind.
and Squee
Did
is
not fully
only
read
a
the card.
Stoneland, but
Yeah, does not run that many humans.
but you can with spawning pod eventually sack up if you want to, and if you get up to 6, you have dealt with aggro because at 6 you are getting a Perforator Crocodile, one of the new Alchemy 2024 cards.
Oh, it's that? I have not seen that deck in this tournament, and that card in this tournament yet.
So it's
yeah.
6/5 for 6 mana, 3 black and 3 of any color. When it enters the battlefield, for each creature your opponent controls, you conjure a card named Stab Wound onto the battlefield attached to that creature, which is so busted versus aggro. Stab Wound
Yeah.
is an enchantment giving that creature -2/-2, and the beginning of its opponent's upkeep, they take, I believe, 1 damage, 2 damage.
It's 2.
So this will just
It's like Reverse
single-handedly deal
Massacre
with
Worm.
aggro. Yeah. And it has cycling, which is really
Swamp Cycling too.
swamp.
Yeah.
It has any cycling.
Is it Swamp Cycling or is
No,
it
it's
just
just
normal cycling?
cycling,
Okay.
which is really why it can be in this deck because you can pay. It's cycling for 1 black, 1 of any color, but you could get it in your graveyard and resurrect it with Slimefoot and Squee, really before curve. So under 6 if you need to. So you've got your hits there with Spawning Pod, but here we go. We're into the game.
I'm on Mathma's hand right now. I don't see any reason you would ever mulligan this, especially against Slimefoot.
So Dark Ritual, Fatal Push, Reckoner Bankbuster.
Viconia takes care of Riard, Fatal Push, kills. So that's the thing that we saw in our past 2 games with the Teferi and the Tajik deck, is that you really need early removal against the Slimefoot, because if they have a way to get it out on turn 2, you just kind of die. So
here is that way as Mortri
yeah, and
plays
here's the Ragavan.
turn 1 Ragavan. And look at this,
Yeah.
the Crucius deck drawing another removal. So this is the strength of this deck, running aggro and removal and hand hate, and really the best of those 3 worlds, being able with the commander to bin whatever is unnecessary and search for what is necessary in the matchup. But here, that's not even necessary. You have everything you need in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. This is really the strength of black and red in this format, is getting able to play this cheap removal, and that's why sometimes Azorius control falters, as we've seen in this tournament, is that it just can't deal with the early threats, which is why it might be a thing eventually, maybe. But yeah, it's like red and black is really what you go to for your cheap.
So Mathematiker is looking like they're debating what removal they want to play. Are they going to bolt or are they going to
you either play
push?
bolts or you play push, and I think I play push here because Slimefoot is their toughness.
Mathematiker, a player known for their very thorough thought process in any decision, decides to play out the Sokensan, giving them a red
You
land.
probably
and
see
playing out
something I
Bolt.
don't.
Well, the
I can
Fatal
also
Push
see
letting
holding
them
point.
hit, right, a higher toughness creature in the future.
Yeah,
And
that is a thing.
so now,
The question is what happens on 2, and I think it's Bankbuster, assuming, or it could be Dark Ritual play both, or Dark Ritual Crucius. There's a lot of plans here that I'm not thinking through as thoroughly.
that's true. The Dark Ritual will give you 3 floating mana and 1 extra, so you have 4 total. You can't quite play both, but you could Crucius for sure on turn 2. Mordred's going to go for the Gilded Goose, which is really the only play that they have. And we're back to Mathematiger. So,
Good.
what do you do, Hazar, if it's you?
I mean, so I just saw Mordred play land and auto pass, like arena auto pass for him. I think I Dark Ritual Crucius because knowing that they don't have cheap removal here, I know I can get a trigger for free. I think that might be what I do, but at the same time, the hand is so good. It's something I'd have to think. Like this is a tough decision. It's either that or I Dark Ritual play Viconia Bankbuster.
Right, and
So I think whatever you do, you Dark Ritual here.
this is where you're going to have to start thinking as an aggro deck. I have no board. It's turn 2. I'm versus a mid-range deck that's going to stonewall my creatures if this goes on long enough. I need to get moving. And it
Yeah.
looks like that's what he's going to do. Playing out Crucius, that 3-1 gives you a nice
And
body.
possibly Fatal pushing the Goose here.
Fatal pushing
I
the
don't
Goose.
think that's happening. I don't think that's going to happen.
Also Fatal push Slimefoot and Squee, because that's a commander that needs to have a yard to be relevant. And the only creature in the yard is Ragavan, so even if you can reanimate, you're not getting huge value out of it, and you're passing a turn simply reanimating.
And Ragavan is pretty decent off the top here. I assume Slimefoot is getting played turn 3. At the cost of 2 life, notably. The Thrawn Portal and the Mana Confluence, both costing life, is actually very relevant in
This aggro matchup, definitely. And Slimefoot and Squee now on board for Mordred. Has the Bone Shards in hand, but is going to value all the creatures on board. The Goose giving mana, Slimefoot and Squee,
Misery's
obviously.
Shadow being somewhat decent here with the Exile Clause.
Is it exile when it deals damage, or any creature?
I know, it exiles any creatures that dies on the opponent's board.
Oh, this is super useful. What a strong creature in this matchup.
Yeah.
And
I know, this is why, like, Rakdos aggro versus Boros aggro is better into Slimefoot, because Black has all of these incidental graveyard hate and just death hate cards that kind of get through that wall.
And the value on the Rakdos cards is better in this matchup too, with a lot of the Boros cards having value like Indestructible. That is really not much when you're swinging into 4/5 creatures or even 3/3s. Here we see the Fatal Push onto, interestingly, not playing Misery Shadow first. What do you make of that?
Could be a miss sequence, but I don't think, like, after all this thinking that could be a thing. But at the same time, like, I don't see anything other. Like, I don't see any reason.
And
why.
Mordred also doesn't understand and moves Slimefoot and Squee to the command zone, saying to themselves, "This is Crucius I'm playing against. They have removal in spades. I've already seen a Bolt and a Fatal Push. I'm bringing it back to the command zone, baby. I don't want to think about my fungus, my mushroom token."
Yeah, no, that could be a thing. This could be a well executed bluff. But
look at that, and
I have removal here as a Proling, but at the same time, yeah, like I could see Mathma saying, "I'm going to bluff this," and then play the card the 2-drop I actually want to play on this turn. That could be a thing.
He gets out the Bankbuster, and he draws the land, looking for that 4th land drop, which he missed. No, he did not miss, because Mordred was the first player.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mordred can now replay Slimefluid, and like there's still, I don't know what Mordred has in their hand.
So do you discard a Tally here, and then go for the...
Yeah, I think I discarded a Tally on 4 lands and a removable dork, like 10 out of 10 times.
And you can
But
play
maybe not.
then the halfling and the fiend artisan.
Yeah, you run it all out. There's no reason not to. You know, Crucius doesn't have board wipes.
So he did not choose to discard a tally, instead sacrificing his token from Slimefoot and Squee. And the upshot of
I can
that
see
is
that.
he's now on 6 mana. If he draws a land next turn and there's no removal, he can hardcast a
That,
tally. And that's huge in
that's
this
weird.
matchup, getting potentially 3
It's
creatures on
a
board.
7/7. A
Yes.
7/7. Because I don't think, like, kind of similar to Timeless. A lot
Does
of
not
black
die
decks
to
aren't.
bolt, does not buy to fatal push.
Yeah.
And that's like you were saying before, the difficulty that aggro can have if it doesn't put down a board early versus mid-range is you get these big creatures out with high CMCs and your removal is just useless because you have all of this conditional
Yeah.
removal to give you the advantage in the first 4 or 5 turns. But if
It's like you look at Mathema's hand, they weren't fast enough. They have these 2/2s and 2/3s that they have, but
and
like
it
Signpost
looked
about to come back if
so
not a Tali.
good. It looked so
It
good,
did.
right? So what happened?
That's the thing about this format is that it can go any direction. I think the main thing that happened here, I don't know. That's what did happen here. I mostly think it was first like the Crucius discarded a land, got a Ragavan, I think, and then discarded the Ragavan and got a land. I want to say like there is both use that was not used in that, which partially like there was 2 turns of Crucius triggers that effectively netted to nothing.
Which is right. If your commander is supposed to be your engine and your engine is not spinning, that's brutal. And now Mortrid
Yeah,
untaps with tons of choices here. You have a Fiend Artisan that
yeah,
can X for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially. You can Mind Spike to check out what your opponent has in hand, and you can also Slimefoot and Squee. So they really have a lot of options here. Do they want to dig for something that they think will win this matchup? Do they want to play it safe and look at the opponent's hand and cast a Slimefoot and Squee at the same time? Uh, if I'm Mortrid here, I think I want to play it safe. I'm a control tempo player at heart. I want to Mind Spike and Slimefoot and Squee. How about you, Hazar?
I'm actually the opposite here. I see Mathematiger letting me on top of this board, and like if they had a fatal push or something, the Fiend Artisan probably dies here. I see Mathematical letting me untap. I think I am sacking one of them to get a Cavalier Knight.
Oh, a
Is
Cavalier
what I
Knight,
think I would do
so good
here.
in this matchup. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
removing one of their creatures. You have to give up 2 of your creatures. You have to give up both of your mana darks.
yeah,
But
but then you still have a 4/5 lifelinker that Cruises
yeah,
can't deal with very
and
well.
can get back one of your dorks
And
later
then
on.
Slimefoot comes down, and like if they do remove something, you can get your board back with Slimefoot.
It
Either
looks
that,
like
like I can also see waiting a turn and then getting like Perforator Crocodile, as you
yeah.
previously mentioned.
So here, Mortrid preferring to do the safer or more conservative play, but we
Yeah,
haven't talked about this. Mortrid is down at 12 life. Very slowly, very sneakily has been losing life,
yeah,
mostly
and
to
it's
their
mostly
2
the
pain
lands.
lands. Yeah,
Yeah,
every turn. Here's going to take another 2 damage casting Slimefoot and Squee. So I think, in retrospect, or in hindsight, looking back at the beginning of this turn, your idea to X for 5 with Fiend Artisan and get that 4/5 life linker makes a lot of sense. And
yeah.
we'll see if
It's
that
like,
comes back.
if you're playing mid range, as you mentioned, like your goal is you can play slower than the aggro deck and wall them out. If there is a wall in the deck, it's Cavalier Knight. There's nothing an aggro deck can do to get through that.
And now by sacking that treasure to cast Slimefoot and Squee, sorry, by sacrificing the food with Gilded Goose, effectively they are down to 5 mana, and that does not let them Fiend Artisan for 5. They have to pay the
I
1.
mean, yeah, you find a land and you're fine here. And honestly, I think a lot of their top end has been drawn. So like I think most draws are good for Slimefoot right now.
So here's the issue, though, is you're at 10 life versus
Yeah,
Crucius. You have
who was
blockers
about
this
to get
turn.
Shieldred or Rampaging Raptor or Chandra, all of them being able to start dealing more damage.
Gets
but
Rampaging
does draw the
Raptor.
land. Oh, but
Uh,
it's a tapped land.
it's a tap land. So they can still they have options. They can swing in with Slimefoot and Squee, and then they can X for 4 to get our favorite anti-aggro tool. It's going to cost you some life, but Yawgmoth
Hmm.
can easily take care of the board on the other side,
Yeah.
draw you 3. But you're going to take 2
Yeah.
damage
How?
from your
Yeah.
lands.
I'm not sure about Yawgmoth here. I don't know. I don't know what they have in their deck fully. I'm not sure. I think that might have been a misplacement into the Bank Buster because I don't think there's anything in the graveyard
Well, there's
at
Ragavan,
the
so
moment.
you can at the very
Yeah.
least you can reanimate, and I believe you can reanimate on any at any point. I don't
Check
know
on
if
their
you can only
list
do it
right
as a
now.
sorcery.
It's only as a sorcery though,
Okay.
so it's already good. I would actually probably sack his Saproling and Tutor Bowmasters right now.
Oh, also great to get rid of the Bankbuster. Yeah, to get rid of their 4 power
No, sorry.
creature.
Yeah, well, you've also have Thrag Tusk, but that's not really accessible right now because not enough mana. I'd probably get either. I'm just looking at the deck right now. Bowmasters, you can find Shieldred. Shieldred's also always good.
Yes.
Bowmaster
Again, that 4/5
Shieldred.
wall that gains you life.
Yeah. Well, one of those two. Maybe.
Whatever it
I
is,
could see
you're.
Skyfish or Spider too.
Oh, yep. You're gonna need
Because I,
life though, because you're gonna take another
yeah, that's
2.
what
Whatever
Skyfish and
you
Spider
choose
is
to
for.
do, you're gonna go down to 8.
Yeah.
And next turn, that
And you actually
rampaging
season
raptor is coming
Pyromancer
out.
too. Yeah, Morsha doesn't know that though. So, like, I think they can't be blocked by 2 or less at the same time.
Well, they've
Morsha might do
seen,
some of
right.
this.
Mortard has seen the black market connection discarded, so they know that there's some 4
Yeah.
drop, and as you said, it's either Shieldred or Chandra or Rampaging Raptor. So
Or
Mortard,
Beseech, which is all of those things.
which is all of those things. So what do? I think the correct. I think I would take the line that you mentioned. I would tutor here for one of my 2 drops or one of my 4 drops to stonewall a little bit, but Mortrid preferring to hit the resurrection
I
and
can
bring
see
back
this too.
Lucky.
It's effectively a 1 in 2 chance of Rampaging Raptor versus 9. I could also. I don't actually know the full rules text on Rampaging Raptor.
So it's a 4/4 trample haste, and
Okay, I thought it couldn't be blocked by 2 or less for some reason.
no, yeah, it's
No,
not a
it
full
can.
custom
Okay,
beast.
so that's not terrible. Okay, it's too many lines of text. Um, no, okay, so I can see this line then. I thought I had that line, but no, I still think I would take Seasoned Pyromancer or Bowmasters from a tutor because it is more bodies than this, or it's at least the same amount of bodies, but it is tied to a removal or a draw or something like that. Like Seasoned Pyromancer bins your Atali for next turn, and then it draws you 2 more
Oh,
cards.
which is also with Mortrid's Slimefoot and Squee and the Commander. Yeah, that is a great
Yeah,
point.
like Seasoned Pyromancer does that. Bowmasters just gets rid of Crucius. Like I think either of those are better plays than this.
Well, here we go. Mathema Tiger plays out the Rampaging Raptor, swings in with the 4/4 trample. Now, Mortrid still has enough power to easily block this. They can send their commander to the graveyard, and
Yeah.
because the Saproling is an ETB, they have an extra Saproling from when they brought it back last turn.
It's really like a tough judge here on who's in the lead. It's pretty close, especially with the 2 lands costing life is the biggest thing in this matchup. If those are different lands, then this matchup is over already, but it's not.
It's going to be 2 damage every turn.
Yeah.
Although with the delighted halfling, Mortrid can bring back Slimefoot and Squee without losing life. But now, as we were talking about before, Mortrid is up to 6 mana, which means they can tutor for that 4/5 lifelinker, the Cavalier of
Yeah,
Light we were
but
talking
at this
about.
point, though, I don't know how like that. Actually, no, I think it's still very good. Never mind. Like I think it was more effective back in the first time that it could have been tutored.
Definitely, there was a window there, and unfortunately, the tap land closed that window.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if like any of the things we're talking about are misplays or not. Honestly, I should probably just
it's
play
such
this deck
a complex
myself.
deck. I've wanted to
Yeah.
craft the Slimefoot and Squee deck, but it's such an intricate
I
deck.
spent
There
all
are
my wild cards on
20
Timeless
yeah,
when we have a new set coming out.
there are 20 wild cards, rare and mythic wild cards that I do not have that I need to craft this deck.
Oh my god, here, let me check real fast. Copy for MTGA.
It is an
I think I'm
expensive
probably
deck, that
closer
is
to it
for
than that.
sure.
It is, but it's because of all the tutor lines and stuff, and
Yep.
I don't know. I think there were probably at least one or two places where this game could have gone differently. That being said, though, I don't think Slam and Squeeze anywhere near a losing spot right
Nope.
now.
And here's an Eldritch Evolution, another one of those tutors. Lets you sack a
Yeah.
creature and get something within 2 mana.
Let's see, they have 6 mana available.
They have 6 available.
If this was 7, like so I think last turn Season Pyromancer was the play. Like tutor Season Pyromancer off of sacrificing Slimefoot because Atali would be binned right now and Slimefoot would get back Atali.
Yep. And here
I think that was the objective correct play last turn.
here's Mortred's going for the Fiend Artisan now for 5. Taking the 2 damage from their lance. Going to get rid of the Gilded Goose, which makes sense. There's no more food around. It's not doing anything. And is going to tutor. Ooh, does he go for? Goes for Thragtusk for the immediate life gain. Says,
Yeah,
I'm at 6.
I would do that.
2 burns.
At this phase of the game, yeah, I agree with that play.
Once Thragtusk is in the graveyard, goes whatever, I'll block, and then I'll reanimate it next turn with Slimefoot and Squeak. So
Yeah, now you have a 5/3 and a 3/3.
Yep.
Yeah, I at this stage, Thragtusk has like eclipsed Cavalier of Night as the better card. Also, I just imported the deck. I am only 3 mythics and 1 common off of crafting it, but I also have 3 mythics.
I think you should go for it. This deck, just watching Mortred
probably
play it,
will.
playing against Mortred, like I said, I've played over 40 games against their Slimefoot and Squee, and it seems like such a fun deck, full of threats. The threat density is just so high. This is a deck that could top deck a winning card every turn. They get an Eldritch Evolution, they get a Spawning Pod, they get a Yawgmoth and a Tally, even just the lands to help them reanimate or cast their commander again. Their graveyard is a threat, their top decks are a threat, there's so much it can do. But let's talk about Mathematiker. So what are they doing right now?
Let's look at what they're on. They're exiling stuff, obviously. They're basically just taking away these graveyard lines from the Slimefoot deck. It makes a lot of sense. It's basically a stalled board right now, because neither deck is getting through. But the thing is, on such a stalled board, the Fiend Artisan is going to make Mortred's turns just so much better than Mathema's.
Although, with that exile by Vicuña, the Slimefoot and Squee is now at 7 mana, which is more than Mortred has on board.
That's true. But also with Viconia on the board, I don't think Slimefoot and Squee has much relevance.
As a reanimator.
I think, yeah. It's just there as a body. But at this point, the Fiend Artisan is getting everything out of your deck, and then the eventual Atali.
And Crucius, with that trigger, end of turn, getting a flyer, the Tomacal Phoenix. And Mortred, on their turn, going to get rid of the Thragtusk and go for a 7-drop.
Which other eventually, I think eventually this ends in a chuff. I credit hope for the Mortred.
All right, well, we'll see. About to choose. Oh,
this
and
is
they can
Crocodile?
get the Crocodile.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There, that's it. Mortred says, I've had enough. No more board for you. I'm going to wipe your board. And that's the end of that one. So
and this is the relevance here, is that Massacre Worm versus Crocodile. Massacre Worm would make Mathema lose like 10 life here, but this one, it's not. You don't have that life loss. At the same time, it does have that cycling relevance for the Slimefoot deck, which is a lot more relevant than other decks.
Yep, which is why
interesting. Not choosing to attack with Ragavan here to me. I think the Ragavan
could have attacked.
Oh no, never mind. Because you can make a pilot with that 1 token Bank Buster there.
Okay, that's true. And his tutoring for a Mana Dork makes sense. Sacrificing.
What did they sacrifice? I didn't see that. A Saproling?
A Saproling. Knowing they're not going to be able to reanimate anyways with Vicuña, gets rid of the Saproling and gets a Mana Dork, and now they have Atali mana next turn, should they want to.
Yeah, it's like you Atali here, and then eventually you'll get enough mana to run Chiff if you haven't won already, but you probably have.
And what
You have what 7 mana right now?
you just want to
Kind of 8 with Dragon
stabilize,
Man, but I don't
kind
know.
of eight. You want to stabilize your board, but if you're Mathematiker, you see that you have a Tomoko Phoenix in hand. Do you go, okay, they have 10 life. I'm just going to pressure them here.
Yeah, that's your only out. You know you can't outsolve them. That's just not happening with the Fiend Artisan. You have to pressure them, but half-assed like Viconia can also drain for 2 on the black specialization, but you have to live for long enough to do that.
You have to live, but so does Mortrid with those 2 pain lands. Whatever they do, they're going down to
Yeah,
6 next turn.
that's actually very true. If there's any way, I think for Mathema here to kill their own Tomical Phoenix and get it back as a 4/4.
and and Mathematica realizing this is their Hail Mary here as they exile the
Yeah,
Gilded Goose from the graveyard, the only flyer that could block the Tomacolt, and now the Thrag Tusk. No more life gain for you, Mortrig.
I do think eventually. And they killed the Fiend Artisan, which is very, very relevant
If only they
with
knew
that.
about the Italian hand. Oh, and the Scavenging Ooze draw by Mortrid. Oh, this is so big. Now you
Yeah,
can, if
that,
you want to, you just play out Scooz. You've got plenty of green mana. You gain 3 life. You say, I don't care. Come at me, bro.
yeah. That's mistaken attack again into the Bankbuster.
Mortrid perhaps getting a little too excited about that draw there.
Yeah,
But it's true, they're
quite
not.
possibly.
Mathematic are still at 23 life.
I think Mathematiger needs to keep Viconia.
I think you're right.
I don't like stacking Viconia here just because Viconia is 2 points of drain on the black specialization. That's
And
really all
it's
I'm
the
looking at it
only
for.
way you deal with Mortrid's commander here.
Yeah,
But is going to go for the block with Viconia on the Perforator Crocodile. Um, I agree with you. I think this is danger. I think this is danger.
yeah. And the
Mathematic.
thing is, I believe Viconia specialization allows you to drain for 2, and really that's what you have to do is Mathematiger right now. Well,
And
like
Mortrid,
this amount of bombs, you have to get through for
you have to get through
damage,
however you
and
can.
that's Vein Ripper, and that's just game.
And what great hits here. Vein Ripper, 6/5 flyer, is going to be able to block the Tomacool Phoenix.
But also just everything you do now gets you closer to winning and away from losing.
Well, there's still no way that that Mortrid has to kill Mathematiger instantly. And Mortrid is
No,
only at 6 life. We've seen
but
a Bolt Ooze, though,
Mathematiger,
haven't we? We have no
yeah,
direct damage to
Bolts is
face.
gone. Yeah, like especially with Vein Ripper here, and Screws in hand, the life can all just come back.
Yep, it gains. Vein Ripper gains 2 and drains 2 every time a creature dies. And Scooz
Yeah.
can for 1 green exile a creature card from a green card to gain you 1 life.
Mathematiger finds Claim, which could, if Screws isn't played here, it could be relevant. Giving that reanimating and the +2/+0 in haste is both just slight edges that could end up winning. At the same time, the amount of stab wounds in that graveyard.
Right, this game looks like on board. If you just look at the board, Mortrid is killing it. He has Perforator Crocodile, he has Atali, he has Vein Ripper on board. He is swinging in. Next turn, he's going to present Lethal on board.
I think you can't block as Mathema here because of Vein Ripper. You're dead in 2 turns no matter what you do. You have to give yourself the opportunity to win next turn.
And if any of your creatures die, then Mortrid is going to gain some life. So you have to take the damage and say,
Yep.
I'm going to draw my way or top deck my way out of this.
But even then, I don't know what you do. You have to like exile Vein Ripper even somehow, but it has War to pay 3 life? Is that what? Does it have like a word mana cost or?
Sacrifice a
I thought it
creature
was
is the
life.
board.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's
you
fine.
gain them
Okay.
life automatically. So Mathematiker does
Oh, that's true.
block. Now they're both at 8 damage. Sorry, at
And now
8 life.
Scoos.
And now
Yeah,
the Scoos comes out.
and that's yeah. Blot out will not kill Vein Ripper as it will hit Atali,
And this looks
and
like
that
game.
is
Yeah,
the
Mathematiker.
concede.
Oh, and that was what a great match. But like you said, it came down in the
1-0 for
beginning
Motion.
to
Yeah,
Mathematiker playing, and I've seen this before with decks like Rafine. If you keep too much removal in your starting hand, it can feel really good. But if you're an aggro or a tempo aggro deck and you don't get on board in those first few turns, it can really come back to bite you when you're looking at that 6 life at the opponent at the end,
yeah,
like Mathematica was there, and you say, if I had just had a 2-1 attacker for 2 or 3
yeah,
turns there at the beginning, I would have won that game.
yeah. But at the same time, too, the two pain lands on the long game for more trade. If that Thron Portal was instead a basic swamp, that game would have not been close at all.
Not at all. Yeah, must have taken around 50 damage from their own lands there. That
At
game.
least, yeah.
Yeah, there
And
were no
that's
attacks
also the pain
happening.
of more colors in this format.
Yeah,
That's the drawback.
3 colors and a 3 mana 3 color creature like Slimefoot and Squee, like
Yeah,
Rafine, needs to hit its 3 mana, 3 colors on turn 3. So you're going to make those sacrifices. And here we go into game
yeah.
2. Now, the aggro deck, Crucius, is on the play, and Slimefoot and
So I
Squeeze on
see
the draw.
Thoughtseize Misery. I keep. I think.
And Thoughtseize is so valuable here. Do you get rid of the combi of Bamboo Grove?
Yes, no question. I get rid of Kami. Well, okay, Fatal Push
Or do you
maybe,
get rid of
but
Spawning Pod, saying, okay, in the long run, this card is going to really be a pain in the ass?
I okay. Looking at their, no, I think it's. Well, wait, no, I don't get rid of Kami. I get rid of Fatal Push or Spawning Pod because the only reason is that the troll they don't have a green source in hand right now. The troll is their green source, and that causes Kami to not be good enough to get Slimefoot out early. I take Fatal
Unless they
Push. I
draw a
think
land. That's
it's
right,
the
yeah,
only thing
Mortrid.
stopping my curve. Fatal Push is literally the only thing stopping the Cruces right now. Like Spawning Pod, sure, can get them stuff later, but again, the aggro deck, you wanna get out early here, and I think Fatal Push is the only thing stopping you.
And also, you want to keep your Misery alive if you can, because whatever they Spawning
Yeah.
Pod to kill later on is going
Oh,
to be
actually,
exiled.
Mathema just covered this too. You take the troll, they have no green source.
You hope. You hope they
They have
don't
to farm
draw.
their green source. Yeah, but that's more of a that's a high roll play. You either you win off that or you lose off that. But it might happen. I think
I
I
think you're right. I think
probably
the
take
troll
Fatal
here,
Push.
you go, okay, you kept a hand with
It's going.
no
He's going
green
to the troll. See if
sources.
he gets punished.
He does, and Mortrid draws an Agadeem's Awakening. That is not a green source.
No, it's not. But at the same time, with the fatal push, Mortar does have time.
And that's Magic, you're saying, I'm not even going to play 2-drop. I know you're just going to kill it. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to wait till I have 3 mana, and I'm going to play out my Phoenix. And if you kill my Phoenix, I don't care, because I can get it back later.
I think I don't know if I play Crucius or Phoenix as the Crucius.
Crucius, you know, is going to die. And I know, because Fatal
No, you
Push does
don't,
not
because
hit
they don't have
Crucius.
revolts.
Yes. Okay. So let's see. Mortrid plays out a second land.
Yeah.
And here
if you
comes
play
the
Crucius,
Crucius.
I'd get rid of Bankbuster. I'd either get rid of Bankbuster or Chemical, and I think it's Bankbuster because the fatal push will hit your 4-drop. But
Going for
I
the
guess if you get
Chemical here.
your Chandra here, you're doing very well.
Oh, and Beseech.
Yeah.
Equivalent, as you were saying before,
Yeah.
equivalent any 4-drop in your deck. You've got the treasure to
Cool.
sacrifice next turn.
Yep.
And Slimefoot and Squeeze still has no green mana.
Oh, but here's the thing: the Cackling Observer.
Is going to hit the Beseech the Mirror. Oh, if you Davriliel's Withering now, does it get to take a card from your hand?
Yeah, the trigger's on the stack. You choose a card and exile it. That's all it says. It doesn't matter if it's on the battlefield or not.
Okay.
The other thing is, if you do real Slithering it now, you actually just don't get a card back. That's very bad for you. Yeah, no, I think I would have discarded the Bankbuster here, because Bankbuster's not going fast enough for this matchup. It's not doing enough. I would have gotten rid of a Bankbuster and had some kind of 3-drop, and then played Tentacle Phoenix or whatever's top decked there.
So Mathematiker is now on 4 lands, and they can play.
I would pay this, no question. But apparently not. I think what I would do on this turn, I would pay that cost and discard Bankbuster and get a 3-drop.
Looks
But
like he's gonna play on Misery's Shadow instead. With
it's
no...
like, here's the thing, you can play a Misery Shadow and Bankbuster here. But again, like, you could have had that 2 damage with haste instead of just having it on the Shadow, and as I've been saying, I don't think Bankbuster is doing you enough in this matchup to be relevant. Like, it doesn't, at the time you're actually using Bankbuster at its full value, you've lost the game.
Yeah, you're just using it really as a 4/4 attacker to get past Slimefoot and Squee. But
Bankbuster is very good when played on 2 because Crucius crews it on 3. But on 4 and
4.
later, it's nowhere near as good. And this is, I just don't like this. I don't like playing slow against midrange. Playing it and drawing a card is like the last thing I would do.
Yeah, and really, Crucius, as you were
Because
saying
and
before,
also you're gambling on, like, you want Mortred to not find a green source, and all you're doing is giving them time to find a green source.
well, this is what you said before. It's that green source is going to make or break the game. And it looks like so far it is making the game, discarding that Swamp Cycler, keeping them off of Overgrown Tomb,
Yeah.
or their Cervella, and making sure that they are screwed, really hard mana screwed. And this is every 3-color deck hates to be in this position. You've got good mana, but you're missing your 3rd color. There's absolutely nothing you can do, and you draw Eldritch Evolution, which is just looking at you with its 2 greens. You don't even have a creature on board. This is bad, but like you said,
But at the
Crucius
same
isn't
time,
capitalizing off of it.
yeah, like, as Mathematiker, you have Tentacle Phoenix and Yard. You have 2 other bodies in hand. Why are you not playing the bodies and killing them before that green source is found?
And again,
it's
not
like,
taking advantage of the Tomoko Phoenix, playing this almost like you would expect them to
I,
play this
I
as a
think on
control
this
matchup.
turn, last turn you play a Phoenix. This turn you have 5 mana and a 2-drop and 3-drops. You play one of the Lianas and a 2-drop. But at the same time, I do think last turn Phoenix is just by far the better play. I don't know. I do think the way that Thoughtseize played out, and just the way this matchup plays out in general, Mathematiker needs to be putting stuff on the board here.
And it's all
And
going to
they're
come
just
down.
not doing it.
It's going to come down to what Mortred can top deck. If they can top deck some sort of answer in the colors they have, or if they can top deck a green source next turn.
I think Mathema is just not, they're playing around this Fatal Push too much. Like, they have 1 Fatal Push and you're just not playing any 2-drops because of it. I don't think that's correct. Like, you're not even animating your Tentacle Phoenix.
And here it is, we get the green source, the
and here's the green source, and now this could be the punish. It depends though, because Mortred has lost a lot of time not having this green source.
But as we've been saying, not as much as he could have lost. And now even thinking about Psych, oh my goodness. Wow, channels the Kami for another green land, saying, you know what?
Think
you're not representing enough damage, Mathematiker. I don't care.
Yeah, I think my main issue with that play there is that you can just as easily channel that next turn.
Well, so here's what he's
thinking.
And
I would have rather played Slimefoot there.
Next turn, I can Slimefoot and Eldritch Evolution into a 5-drop.
Oh, that's true. And, like, 5-drops we saw this before.
We've got Thragtusk, we've got the
Thragtusk, actually, that's pretty much it. Thragtusk.
It does he run the Cavalier?
What is that? Yeah, I think in this situation you can, like, you can Eldritch Thragtusk. Right. you see what Crucius has on board.
Is very not threatening. I've got to say, I completely agree with you. I think
You
that
also
Crucius,
still have to deal with it at some point.
you do,
Like
but
it's
you've got
threatening, but
those
it's not
tools in
threatening
hand.
fast
You've
enough.
got your spawning pod.
Yeah.
You've got your Eldritch Evolution. You've got your Fatal Push too, which is going to be enabled by both of those cards. But here comes 7 damage face, and suddenly the aggro motor is starting to turn.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is that Mortrid could be dead right now, and they aren't.
They could, right?
And there's no reason why they shouldn't be dead right now.
This was definitely played out way too. This was played out very deliberately and slowly by Mathematiger, and perhaps not the right matchup to be doing it. But we shall see. We shall see. And in any case,
I think Mathematiger still has just like I don't really see many ways in which Mortrid can win this game, is the issue, and it's because of that green source. But at the same time, I think that this game could have been over a long time ago.
well, look. So let's see. We have Slimefoot and Squee next turn into a Eldritch Evolution into a Thragtusk. Game 5.
That's true. Game 5. That's
we have
still
a
very
Shieldred's
relevant.
Edict. But
Mathematiger is sitting on removal. Is the issue though?
He is sitting. He has the Edict.
Oh, but Fatal Push can kill Bankbuster without revolts. That's the thing. Now Mortrid's only taking 4.
Now only taking 4, and next turn the Edict is not going to be able to prevent the Eldritch Evolution. But the Misery Shadow will
going to Graveyard.
That's the play he needed to make if he was going to prevent shenanigans from Slimefoot and Squee.
Which he knows about, because and he doesn't know about the Eldritch, but he knows about the pod, he knows about the Slimefoot, he knows about the village rights. All these ways to sacrifice.
And here, if he had not cast that, then this would mean that next turn, Slimefoot and Squee goes to the yard and can potentially reanimate, but now that will no longer be an option off of an Eldritch Evolution.
I agree with the plan of not running out Misery Shadow earlier, like into any kind of Fatal Push and stuff like that. Like, I totally see that. I don't see not running out Chemical Phoenix is the main thing.
Yes.
Like, that's one sitting in the graveyard, and that should have been played. Like, this Liliana is sitting here not doing anything besides posing a threat, like, 3 turns from now.
and like you said, was keeping the Misery Shadow back, so valuing it in this matchup, and now that it comes out, although we're going to see now what a draw for Mortrid. What a draw. A Cabaret Revels. Draws a Cabaret Revels, so Slimefoot and Squee will net them a creature next turn.
Or Eldritch, I think they're playing Cabaret here. They have other creatures in their hand. So Liliana does kill the Saproling token.
It kills the Saproling token, and with Bloodthirsty Adversary, the Mathematiger, the Crucius player, effectively has double removal next turn if they want it.
Yeah. Sure.
With a 4/4, a 3/1, and a 2/2 on board, they are 1 point away from lethal.
Yeah, and I think part of this, like part of the reason Mortrid is losing here, is because I don't like, just thinking of what I remember seeing in the starting hand, I don't think it was a great keep. You have the Land Cycler as your only source, and that just got killed. But even if that doesn't get killed, you have Slimefoot, you have Pod, and that's your hand. Like, that's pretty much it there. I don't think I would keep that.
Well, here we go, seeing the Bloodthirsty Adversary with the Fiery Tempo onto the Slimefoot and Squee. And now this
game is effectively over.
This is not going to be lethal this turn, but next turn, sitting at 1 life, there is almost nothing that Mortrid can do, and in any case, that said though, here comes the Perforator Crocodile.
That does get a 5-drop out of the deck.
It gets a 5-drop, potentially a 5-drop out of the deck.
Yeah.
But
that is blockers.
not going to be enough because the Tomoko Phoenix in the yard, which has not
Oh,
made an appearance yet,
yep.
is going to fly over Mortred's head now. Finally,
Yep.
patiently, Mathematiker has left that card in the yard, and now
I still think though that card should have been brought out of the yard the first time it could. Because if you look at like the Liliana sitting here has killed one Sapperling and that's it, the Tomoko Phoenix would have done well, Liliana starts at 3 loyalty, it would have done at least 6, if not 8 damage. And Mortar would be at -5.
we'll see though if it even comes back now though, as
Yeah.
Mathematiker looks like he wants to deal with the graveyard, perhaps draining.
Just covering the bases here. Just like kind of expecting the bolt.
Really
Maybe.
valuing to keep that creature, saying, you know what, I can cast this from my yard whenever I want. I'm going to go for my hand first, see what you have, see if you can deal with
Yeah.
it, and if you can't, then
Well,
I'm
here's the
just going
thing
to kill you this
also,
way.
Viconia, if there's a 1-drop in any yard, that black half of Viconia, as I was mentioning earlier, also drains for 2.
And
So if there's a 1-drop in the yard, you can pay 1. Oh, but oh, wait, Shieldred's here. What? I didn't even see that. Why are.
the Mathematiker is spoiled for choice now. So many ways to kill Mortrade. Which is it going to
Yep.
be? And this is where we see when the aggro player goes first, even with a slow start like they had, really preferring to slow roll here. It's too much for the Slimefoot and
No,
Sweet Walker.
I don't think it. I think the only reason right now it is too much is a potentially bad keep and the green mana screw. I think if that troll is not a troll and it's instead a forest, the Slimefoot and Squee wins this game.
Well, and here we see Mathematiker finally having mercy on us.
Yeah,
saying,
and
I'm gonna
there's the
bring back the
Tomoko
Phoenix for the
Phoenix.
kill.
Finally.
Waiting.
But
Did the
hey,
job
1-1.
anyways.
Some
So,
good games happening.
You see,
here.
what is interesting about that matchup is that showcases why Rakdos, as you were saying before, are such strong aggro colors, because you have that turn 1 Thoughtseize, you can see that it's a bad keep, and you can take advantage of that by building out your board, building out resilience, casting that Liliana, and saying, I don't care if it does nothing, you don't have the mana you need, because I was able to take it out of your hand, and that's not something that Boros is able to do. And that information being so useful and really setting the course for that game. Now, here we go into game 3.
It was definitely like the Mathematiker did high roll on that Thoughtseize there, and it ended up working out for him. For sure. Because like if Mortard right there had just top decked a forest, that would have been terrible.
It would have been terrible.
But they didn't. Then for like 3-4 turns at least, I forget. But yeah, like that is probably one of the riskier plays you can make in this format is thoughts using the Land Cycler on that hand. But it worked out. For this hand, interesting mulligan. I think I personally probably would have kept that for Crucius. And now they're just forced to mulligan twice into a hand full of removal. What do you bottom here? Do you bottom Sleeper? I don't. It's like again damage pushing.
This is game
handful of removal
again. Yeah, on the draw.
Yeah.
Handful of removal. Not able
This is
to push
doing
any
good
damage.
Yeah, and also short on lands. You had 2 lands, and you don't have any way to find more. I would have definitely played Blightstep here over. No, because Molten Impact is 2. Never mind.
The problem here is you don't have an effective way outside of Molten Impact into a 3rd land to deal with the Slimefoot. You can sure remove it when they play it, but that token, the Sapperling token, is going to stick around.
There's a 3rd land.
And they're...
So not really punished for it. Well, the thing with Molten Impact is that it is 3 damage to the Slimefoot, and then it's 1 damage to the token when you cast the next spell.
Yep.
But the thing is, you do have to, like, in the current mana that Mathema has, you have to leave the Slimefoot on the board for a turn, but they actually don't play it. They go for Spawning Pod, which I actually see completely. Because
and if they draw a land next turn, they can, Mordred's Slimefoot can play if it's any untapped land, they can play Slimefoot into immediate spawning pod to go up
Yeah,
to
and
Shieldred,
that's just
for
a super
example.
strong line. Yeah.
Mathematic are hovering over spawning
Oh,
pod.
well, that's the thing.
What is this
Mathema
alchemy
Tiger
BS
has
here?
Kologon's command in hand, and that will just cleanly remove that.
Yeah, saying, okay, play your alchemy card. I don't care. I'm gonna play a paper card. I'm gonna take care of it.
The thing is, though, Mathema Tiger is kind of losing out on one mode of Kologon's command here if they do choose to destroy it, because at the same time, with the other modes, you have 2 damage to any target, that's not going to hit anything. You have return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, that's not going to hit anything. And you discard a card, which might actually help Mordred.
And here you really see this is the problem with the hand that Mathematica kept versus this mid-range deck is what are you waiting for to deal damage? You're keeping all of this removal. You feel like you've got to use it. You've got to hold it up. But that means the board is empty. And if the Slimefoot and Squee player keeps drawing lands, they're just going to run you over. They're going to put up a wall too big for you to climb over at some point. And Mortrid playing out a Masked Vandal, saying, all right, I can spawning pod this 2-drop up to a 3-drop.
Yeah. Interestingly, Mordred Mathema not choosing to break the spawning pod in response. But that still begs the question, like, are you holding a removal for the 3-drop that pod tutors? I'm a little confused on that one. Like, if you're holding your mana for this and you see that that's the 2-drop play,
you celebrate, right? You go, great, I'm going to get rid of the birthing, the spawning pod, 2 damage to face,
yeah.
And next turn I'll play it out. Plays nothing! Oh, really, Mathematica is thinking at the end step of Mortrid, am I going to play anything? So spawning pod is no longer active. We're out of sorcery speed.
We're out of
here.
main phase. Yeah.
So Mortrid has
I think the Kologon's like, yeah, it feels bad to Kologon's command as like a shatter, but at the same time,
but it feels even
it's
worse
to
to
card. And now
with doing nothing. Oh,
it's like
no,
there's so
what
many
a
things
tempo
like
hit.
Crucius, Phoenix. Yeah, that's basically they time locked by playing a Mask Vandal.
What a tempo hit. The opponent gets out of land and you do nothing. Okay, gonna play out Crucius here. Going to get rid of the
Fiery
Phoenix,
Temper.
probably, or the Fiery Temper and hit the Vandal, yeah.
But then Vandal gets sacked, and effectively Mortrid has played a divination while Mathema's played nothing.
Mortrid not even waiting.
that's I don't agree with that. I think that's weird.
See, that's
you had the
tournament
opportunity.
fatigue, though. Mortrid's been playing in this tournament.
Yeah,
since the
I
beginning.
agree. So I give him the opportunity to take breaks in multiple places. Like, kind of on you. But so yeah, no, I definitely wait for in response to sack that. It's a little strange.
In any case, Crucius bins a 3-drop and comes up with Shieldred off of it next turn. Very strong play. Yeah, Mortrid draws that extra land, so their spawning pod line is now active.
Yeah, and Mathema does not, off of not using that Kologon's command on turn 3, just lets them get this 4-drop.
And are they going to Shieldred? No, they're going to get Falconwrath Aristocrat. Maybe not the 4-drop you want to see here if you're Mortrid. Saying, God, I wish that was Shieldred.
Yeah, maybe. Here's the thing. Mathema can now deal with the Saproling and stop Slimefoot from coming back.
Can also deal with the Falconwrath Aristocrat with Liliana. Because that indestructible isn't going to care about the -2, -1.
It will not.
And here's the thing, if you only deal with the Saproling, the next turn you're using Spawning Pod to get up to a 5-drop. And I don't think...
Well, here's the thing, if you kill this Falconwrath and don't kill the Saproling, Slimefoot Squeeze getting back Falconwrath. Yeah. But here's the thing, there's no reason for Mathema to not kill the Saproling here, and when they do,
and here they now have a really good target for the 2 modes of Kologon's command. They can get rid of the spawning pod and they get rid of the Saproling token. Yeah, and that's effectively game over with the hand I see in Mortrid right now. Like, well, if they Mortrid has again the double pod, which isn't really doing much for them. No, but if they get up to Thragtusk and Thragtusk stays around, that's going to buy them some time. they can potentially
That's
find
not
a
nice.
card that's going to a card like Blinkboth Nexus, which is going to give them a changeling to reanimate with.
That's the thing though. That's way too long. For like Thragtusk, sure, you're gonna like buy some time, but Thragtusk isn't sticking around
And with a
on this board.
Shieldred pressuring
That takes as much
Phoenix
time
pressuring.
as the Liliana The Last Hope ultimate. And right now, I think I'm looking to Merchant's top deck when the card's in their hand.
And here we have just this really slow, deliberate playstyle from Mathematiker that we've talked about paying
Yeah,
off as
yeah,
they
it's
have.
definitely paying off in this one. If you are able to deal with everything at the start, like Mathema has now, then you're in a good spot. The question is, are you able to execute on that early game properly? And it seems like they have, even with that huge tempo hit of not killing that pod earlier, they did turn that into a 2-for-1 later on the Saproling. But now Fiend Art is in.
Yep, and Mortrid going to go ahead and channel the Kami again as they did last game, saying, I'm going to put down my Fiend Artisan. It's actually a 6/6. Thank you very much. I have a full graveyard. That is a powerful creature right there. Now, even with Liliana plussing and Molten Impact, that's only 5 damage that you can do. So, no
That
effective.
though, you could 2-for-1 yourself to kill the Fiend Artisan here, which
That's right.
as
Okay.
Master, I think I would do. Because like you could play Shieldred here, and you're hitting them for damage, but you're also leaving them with a Fiend Artisan.
Which,
Like you're
oddly
hitting them
enough,
for
doesn't
2.
doesn't do so much on this board state. It's just a
Yeah,
6/6. It's a big
I
body.
don't know. I can see the argument for playing Shieldred here also. Because, like, yeah, the Fiend Artisan's not doing much. The Shieldred also isn't doing much while the Fiend Artisan is there. You could play Shieldred now and then kill it next turn, which actually I'm thinking I'm starting to like more.
It looks like the
Is
Mathematiker is going to go ahead with the burn all my removal on your Fiend Artisan, which
no,
means... Or not.
I think Mathema will do that, just not this turn. He doesn't have to do it this turn.
And here comes the Shieldred.
Yeah. This is like, but basically, if by removing it this turn, you're attacking for 3. By playing Shieldred this turn and removing it next turn, you're attacking for 7. It's a sequence that works in Mathema's favor on this current board state.
And again, that deliberate
Tusk
play.
kind of throws a wrench in that plan, though. Interestingly, discarding Raptor to get the cheaper Kumano Faces Kakazan.
Yep, probably looking for hand hate or removal there, saying, I don't need a 4/4 hasty creature here. Shieldred's going to do the job for me.
Knowing that Mortrid is either going to kill Shieldred or wall the ground in some way, as they have.
So, what a turn
think
you have here.
as Mortrid here, the one card I really want out of my deck is a Bane Ripper. I think that card would be really good in this board state. Okay, as Mortrid. Wait, does Pylon have...
Convoke. Pylon, not quite there. You're 1 mana shy of Thragtusking and piling on.
Yeah. Wait, does Pylon hit Planeswalkers, though? It does. I think I... Oh, so here's the thing. I can't play this as if I don't have the info that I do. From seeing both POVs. Like, seeing that Liliana puts Mirasan down to a 4/5, and that puts it in range of removal, I want Mortrid to kill Liliana here, but Mortrid doesn't know what Mathematiker is sitting on.
Right, and here the bigger threat. I mean, you have removal for both in the end. You have Bloodchief's Thirst and Pylon, so you could go eventually for both Liliana and Shieldred.
I think I'm fine leaving Shieldred. Like, Shieldred is only going for 2 a turn. Like, at 18, that's not relevant.
Well, and it looks like that's what Mortrid's gonna do. Get rid of that Liliana.
But it's the long-term threat. And actually, the Liliana is basically... It's more of a threat than Shieldred, almost. Well, not quite, because Shieldred is attacking in possibly with that Phoenix, and that will be doing big damage.
Yep, and here we go with the Molten Impact. Mathematiker's gonna say
Oh, sorry. No, what am I thinking? Molten Impact Stomp is 6 damage. That kills the 3
6.
nervism anyway.
Yep, and here it
Yeah,
goes. In
you
any
don't need
case.
Liliana to do that. Never mind. I'm just like, I don't know.
And now the race is on because Mortrid can Thrag
I would
Tusk
play Bone Crusher.
into Eldritch Evolution. And Mathematiker going, no, I'm not gonna play Bone Crusher. I'm gonna keep going with my slow, steady style. It's worked for me so far. Worked last game.
Honestly, that's probably the main way to punish this deck is like knowing that Math Tiger plays this slower like this is kind of how you beat it. It's like I don't know, I'm just like I've played this matchup once. And I was playing my Brawl deck, and I think all 3 games, Math Tiger was able to play a turn 4 One Ring and have it resolved, and I beat him 2-1. And I think that is because, like, I know the deck I was playing, the Brawl deck, that if you don't pressure it, you lose.
It has
I think
a
that's
definite way to win, and unfortunately,
yeah.
this Slimefoot and Squee deck does not. And oh, the Liliana of the Veil draw here, so strong for Mathematiker, is going to be able to remove the Thrag Tusk.
This is my home,
and
and I don't appreciate
swing in for 7 with the Gitaxian Recyclers swing in for even more than
Oh,
that.
that's right. Yeah. Card. Yeah, I don't know. I think there are ways that the Cruise Stick could be played a little more aggressively at times. I think in this 3rd game, it's been played perfectly well. Like I can see keeping these treasures up for later over playing the more aggressive Bone Crusher play. I totally see that. It's like game 2. I think I would have liked to see it more aggressive, but here the slow play style works really well. You just deal with everything that the other opponent's doing, and you play a slow kind of aggro mid range type of curve, and that's what you can do with Rakdos with all the removal you have.
The removal, the creatures, the recursive creatures from the graveyard.
Yeah, that's what helps. Is that you can either playing against a control deck, you can pressure them early with good early drops, but against a mid range or aggro deck, you can play recursive and deal with everything, and then eventually get this late game advantage here.
Yep, and with Crucius, as long as your Crucius stays on the
good.
board, your engine keeps on turning, and you get those cards that you need. You get the mana to play them. And here again, we're going to see Mathematiker binning Tomoko Phoenix, another card you could play from
Maybe it'll come back.
Maybe.
But no, I mean, Mortrid just has no way to win this.
Yep, Slimefoot and Squeeze stuck in the graveyard, unfortunately. And is going to get a 2-drop, but there really isn't.
Like, you know, they don't have any changelings left. The game's over and Rathma has won. Finally.
Yep, your Masked Vandal, there it is, in the graveyard. Mortrid was looking for it, saying, if only, then I can get back Slimefoot and Squee and my Thrag Tusk. But it is not.
Actually, I don't think so. I don't think they have mana. Oh, no, never mind. So you don't have to cast
have the mana. They could.
Yeah. They don't have to cast the card you cheated off Eldritch. But yeah, it's over.
And this is going to be Mathematiker picking up their first tournament win since the beginning of the tournament. The beginning of the tournament series. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Finally.
Very well done to them. They're a very strong player. Like, probably one of the players that I like playing the most, because I know it will be a very good game.
and the pioneer of this Crucius aggro deck in the league, at least, first taking it from a combo deck and then refining it into this just really strong aggressive deck that can play slowly, that can grind out longer games versus mid-range opponents. Who else did Mathematiker play in this tournament?
This tournament, they went 2-0 against Judith. They went 2-1 the first Slimefoot and Squee game. They went 2-0 against Tajik, and then 2-1 again against Slimefoot and Squee. So they actually didn't really play any kind of Uro or Teferi, as we saw in other
Dodging
games.
all of the control matchups to just take
Yeah.
on the aggro.
And I think Teferi is probably very good into Crucius with like playing Rakdos. Yeah, you have your recursive threats. They also all die to a board wipe.
Or get exiled. Yeah. So what a performance by Mathematiker.
Very, very well played.
What a great tournament in general. It's so nice to see the mid-range and the aggro decks clash like that. Slimefoot and Squee really showing well here today, getting all the way to the finals. Both of these players, I think, great league players, both deserving of a title. But in the end, Mathematiker's experience with Crucius able to take him to his first tournament victory. So really well done.
Yep. Well played to all. Yeah, thanks for watching. Anyone that is watching this video, assuming I upload it relatively soon.
we are here on behalf of the Brawl Hub Brawl League,
yep.
the competitive Brawl League. It is a 4-week seasonal league. At the end of each 4-week season, we have a top 12 tournament, being what you've just watched. Great competition. If you think that your deck is competitive, or you want to make it competitive, or if you want to see where your deck lies amongst other Brawl decks, and I'm not talking about turn 1, turn 2 concedes, or all removal tribal here. I'm talking about genuine decks that are well-rounded and can compete at the top level with other Brawl decks. If you want to see where your deck fits, please come on over. Don't hesitate. Join the league. Play some games. See how you like it, because competitive Brawl is not the same format at all as what you're going to be playing on the queue.
Yeah. Can you like send that ending bit you just said? Because I stopped recording before you said it, and if I'm putting it in the video, I need it.
I am still recording here. I am still recording.
Okay,
cool. But thank you for watching, and tune in next season as a player, or tune into the finals next season as a viewer or perhaps a player. We're always looking for more players, and you can find us. I will put the link to the Discord in the video info. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your brawling. Thank you, Hazard, for casting.
Yeah, gotcha. I run it, I'll be here.
All right, so let's hope nothing goes wrong with that.